Right, it's the waning days of September 2022 and I thought I'd do a little video cutting a bit more firewood, which I'm in the middle of anyway. This is all seasoned hazel that's come out the wood, and this is the revamped logging brake. You can see it's not terribly wide because the timber I'm cutting isn't terribly huge. Obviously if timber was sort of that sort of size and bigger and 5 foot long like that is, it would be daft to try and lift it into something like this. You'd make other arrangements. But for small stuff, it's great. It keeps it nice and stable. You can cut a lot at once and get a reasonably sized and very accurately sized, consistent, is the word I'm looking for, logs out of it. And I cut to 10 to 12 inches. You can see how the thing's made. 2 screws on each one. It's all round wood, all coppice, except for that on the bottom, and that's a bit of round wood with the sides taken off with a chainsaw. That's a bit of Norway spruce, and it's stuck in like that. Haven't got round to putting this last one on yet, but I'll put you on this handy dandy jerry can and we'll cut that and you'll see how it works. Oops, sorry about that. Let's put you on there. Haven't got much battery left. Let's try not to kick you off again. Okay, and that's all there is to it. Always put a big log on the top, because if you've got little ones on the top, when you get them small, they tend to spin and can jump out at you. Fairly accurate, consistent length. It's all nicely 1 year seasoned material. And you saw me take my hand off the saw, which of course you shouldn't do, but that illustrates that a sharp saw should cut under its own weight. Shouldn't be pushing on it on the top handle at all. Your hands are just there to guide it. So, hope that was useful. That was a logging brake. Now I've got to put it in the wheelbarrow and stack it. Thank you very much. Some bits I forgot on the first clip. Make sure your saw goes all the way through. That's a 14-inch bar, which gives you an idea of how wide this is. Using a 14-inch bar because it easily comes through. I like to use a small saw. Why do I like to use a small saw? Well, it's plenty of power for what I'm doing, and I don't like to hump a great big one around unnecessarily. And in the background, that's not a fence, that's just a cover for the rest of the firewood, which is all kept underneath here. So it won't get wet in the winter because it was nicely seasoned in the drought all summer long. You can come up to this height, stack it right up high, and basically you don't get the kickback you do if you're cutting in a stack of logs with the tip can hit something. And here the tip comes all the way through, is in empty air, and you tend to get less kickback. Thank you very much. And this is where the logs go. This is all hazel, apart from the occasional foreigner. And this here's a bit of hawthorn, or perhaps apple. And that's a bit of yew, and there's some cherry. And there's some bits and bobs of ash in here. But this is all pretty nice stuff. It'll keep me nice and warm this winter. This is 1 metre wide, and it's stacked 3 deep. It'll go right up to the roof, so I can get approximately between 4 or 5 tons in here. Why do I bother with little bits? Well, because I like them. It's the bridge between your kindling and your fire logs. Very little of it's split because it's fairly small diameter. I don't need to split, so I don't bother. If you're selling firewood, you'd want the big stuff. But I'm afraid I like this small stuff, and as I'm cutting overstood hazel to restore it for nature conservation, and that's partly what it produces. I'll call them starters. Your other starters are up here. These are lengths of untreated timber out of pallets, and you can probably see this is built out of pallets with some bigger uprights, which are also waste timber from various sources. There's a pair of doors that go over the front and keep the weather out. This faces north. Prevailing weather comes from that direction, which here in Dorset is southwest. So over the winter it stays nice and dry. Hope that's useful.